Good morning, everyone. Thank you for your attendance. And I would like to thank Mr. Omar and Dr. Abla for giving me the opportunity to be here with you. I would like also to thank Dr. Pascal Saint-Amand for his keenness to come to Egypt despite his busy schedule to share with us his valuable experience in international taxation. My friend also Mario Mansour from IMF for sharing. He will share with us in the second session his experience in SMEs and in informal sector. Mario, we work together with the IMF and he supports Egypt all the time. I would like also to thank my colleagues in the panel and Dr. Ahmed Shawqi, and I'll say in Arabic.
Dr. Ahmed Shawqi, I started my career in taxation in Mr. Shawqi office, and I'm very proud to work with him. He is also my dear friend Ahmed Fikri. He is now a tax expert. He will be the tax expert with us.
And I will start with history. And you are in Egypt, and you know ancient Egyptians were always pioneers in everything, and even in taxes. So they started applying taxes 5,000 years ago. They started the tax used to apply based on the measurement of the Nile, مقياس النيل.
I'm going to talk in Arabic because of the translation, because speaking Arabic and English, this will confuse the translation. In Egypt, 5,000 years ago, we start implementing taxes. The taxes were implemented according to the measurement of the Nile and to the level of the Nile. If the flood was high, that means that the taxes will be high. And in the year that the flood will be low, the people will be exempted from taxes, and people will pay taxes every 2 years. But you're going to see what happened at that time during ancient Egypt for those who did not pay the taxes, as we now have here tax evasion. Also during the time of the pharaohs during ancient Egypt, they used to have tax evasion. As you can see on the first photo, the person is inspecting the person. That's what it's called nowadays, tax auditing. The photo on the left-hand side is tax shifting and tax evasion, and that was the punishment for tax evasion. Actually, we don't have such penalties nowadays. On the right-hand side, as if this man is begging for mercy. هذا كيف كان الأمر في مصر القديمة عندما يتعلق الأمر بالضرائب. When Egypt was, let's talk now about Egypt 2020 quickly. In order not to waste time, I'm going to skip some slides. In the year 2016, the tax income for the GDP was about 13%, and then we conducted a plan to reach 2021-2022 to reach 17%. 17 and 18, we reached 14.3. I think that we can reach 17%. As Mr. Pascal said, 14% is low, so 17% will be very close to the international standards for the medium income countries. How this will be implemented? This will be implemented by increasing the revenues. As I said, in the revenues, when we work on increasing the revenues, with not negatively impact investments. And for this reason, we are going to talk about a balance between achieving tax revenue and encouraging investments. When we talk today about the BEPS and how to fight tax evasion, why we are talking about this? We are talking about this in order to reach recommendations that can be submitted to the Egyptian government throughout our international and our local experience. How can we provide recommendations for the Egyptian government concerning tax evasion so the tax community and the business sector will be aware and will be prepared, because that's what's happening all over the world, and that's what started happening in Egypt. The idea of using the laws and the bilateral agreements for aggressive tax planning, or the BEPS, is actually there is an international combating for this idea, and I think that part of achieving tax revenue will not happen without implementing the BEPS. This is the milestones that, or the agreements, or the treaties that Egypt agreed or signed on. What are the important issues that we are going to tackle, that the Egyptian tax authority and all the government should work on it? First of all, one of the most important issue, which is the digital economy, is considered one of the most important factors to deal with. The idea dealing about the products and the consumption are dealing with the digital economy. As we see the definition of the digital economy, the narrow definition as online platformers, but we say that digital economy, we mean that using. So we are talking in modern economy. The digital economy is not part of the economy, it is the entire or the whole economy. So most of the economy are happening digitally, either what is called selling products and services, either the traditional goods and services that they are sold online. There are services like consulting, they are provided online. This is a traditional service that can occur online or in the traditional way, selling goods like cars, for example, but also we can sell these cars and these goods online. But there is also what is known as digital goods and service, which is to download a video or a game or a movie or an application from the internet. All these items are considered to be digital economy. What is the importance of digital economy? The total of economics in 2015 was $25 trillion. Reached in the year 2016 to $27.7 trillion, of which about $23.9 trillion was B2B e-commerce transactions. When the European Union implemented the digital economy, they reached a profit or a revenue about 23.9. What are the problems of the digital economy, or what are the challenges? There are two problems. It's more than talking about commercials on Facebook. We are talking about the economy, the whole economy in general. Even the companies that we see like Uber, like Kareem, all the activities that can be characterized as transportation, they are digital economy. So what are the problems or the challenges of the digital economy? Normally it is a bilateral service, as Pascal said, without physical existence. So what is the problem? The first problem, من له الحق لفرض الضريبة, who has the right to impose tax. So for example in the VAT, I know that you are keen talking about this subject. In the VAT, if we have a person that he paid $50 in Egypt, and he paid this $50 in order to download a specific application from e-retail in Egypt. He's going to pay VAT 14%. If the same person downloaded for an application from an e-retailer outside Egypt, he's not going to pay the VAT because the VAT has no existence outside Egypt. So this is unfair for the local traders. The second part, it is unfair for the country not to take revenue. So the first problem is who is responsible for imposing the tax. The solution we found it in the OECD, and maybe Pascal elaborate more in this, in a country, the country that has, where the country of the consumer. In addition, that there is a certain mechanism for implementation. So this is an example for a case how we deal through the digital economy in the VAT. The biggest problem that we did not reach a solution up till now is the permanent establishment and the tax on the income. And how the taxes are going to be imposed, and there is no physical existence. All these problems are being discussed through the OECD. For this reason, we say if we talked about the unilateral measure, that meaning that each country is implementing its own systems. And that's what we are trying to do, to reach a consensus. The G20, they do have a plan. They conducted the primary report, but the final report will be in the year 2020 about the digital economy. So first of all, where the taxes are imposed, and the second question is the profit allocation. This is an example, and the questions that are asked in such cases. So what are the recommendations? The recommendation for the Egyptian government, first of all, we should conduct in-depth analysis for the Egyptian models. We have to see we have to check the companies that they work in the digital economy, and the Ministry of Finance should work on this to value creation arising from digitalization. The place, the value creation is which is the economic, containing the economic substance, because I might not exist, I may not exist as a service provider, and I'm providing this from another country, but the value creation is coming from the second country that should be under tax. So Egypt should analyze where are the value creation about the companies that they work in the digital economy. The characterization of the company like Uber can be considered as a transportation company, but actually Uber is an e-commerce company. So we should work under the digital economy standards. What is the effect and the impact of the digital economy? We should amend the legislation. We should have good and proper infrastructure. We see the best examples and the lesson learned. First of all, we start with the VAT because it is the most easiest way to implement, and for sure we ask the technical support from the OECD. The second point that I would like to talk about will be the transparency and the exchange of information. Egypt joined the Global Forum for Exchanging Information, and as we said, Egypt as not being a tax haven country, so we need to benefit from information and data exchange. We have a problem because of some deficit and some changement that should take place in the Egyptian legislations. We have more than 5 of 6 agreements. We finished our negotiation about these agreements, but up till now they are not signed because of one article that tackled the information and database exchange, because we have in the Egyptian law, we have some laws and some regulation that prevent such kind of exchange. What is the importance of exchange of information for the developing country? country is to increase transparency, will support the enforcement unit in the tax authority, and will increase the public trust, and will give the tax authority a visibility over the foreign in their residency. What are the challenges that faces the information exchange? First of all, the human resource, the infrastructure, and the technology. We have a problem in technology. Let's talk about reciprocity. In order to take information, or to ask information from any country, I should have a good infrastructure, a good information infrastructure. In order to ask information, I should have a proper infrastructure to give information and to ask for information. The second problem is the difficulty of implementation. Then politically, there are some sensitive matters concerning exchanging information. Also, we would like to recommend another step-by-step approach to be implemented by the Egyptian government to do a kind of evaluation, the safeguards framework and the confidentiality framework in the Egyptian law, for the Egyptian law to agree as a country and to be committed, or a practical commitment date to do a kind of amendment to this law and to this legislations, and for sure to ask the support of the technical support from the countries that they do have a great experience in the field. According to this, Egypt should sign a multilateral convention that will help exchanging information and data and exchanging experience between the countries and the multilateral competitive authority. What is need to be changed in Egypt? First of all, we need a kind of amendments in the legislations from among what are related to the privacy and the confidentiality of the accounts. Maybe later on Pascal is going to talk about this point. For example, Africa lose from 50 to 60 billion dollars annually because of the bank secrecy rules, and because of the lack of transparency. Almost all countries all over the world had amended their bank secrecy, بما في ذلك لبنان, تونس, وحتى سويسرا. They amended the law. So it's very important to change and to amend the law of bank secrecy. As we said, it's one of the critical issues. We say that we have to conduct more studies. In Egypt, we have a pre-review in the third quarter, starting from the year 2019. It's going to be conducted by the OECD, and if we are not committed to this standards, it might have a negative impact on the role of Egypt in the cooperation in the field of taxes. The third point is the MLI. Egypt signed the International Convention for the multilateral instrument, and this will help us in that we amend our conventions in order to co-op with the international conventions without conducting any bilateral conventions. All over the world, we have more than 3,000 agreements. Most of the countries, they signed the IMI. In Egypt, we have 55 agreements that need to be amended. We have agreement since the 60s, like the UK, Japan, and Norway. All this agreement through the IMI, we will not need to negotiate with every country in order to amend this kind of convention. Number 4 is the transpricing, and we talked about this. In Egypt was the first country that issued a guideline for the price for the transpricing. We updated this guideline in 2010, and also this will help transparency, the investors, and the companies can agree with the Egyptian tax authority and the Ministry of Finance. They agree on trans pricing without going through many complications. And the second point, the second important point concerning the trans pricing, which is the country by country reporting, which is the report between the countries, and there is a manual, and this is mentioned in the guideline, and there is a manual. Mrs. Yasmin, if you have the time to talk about the country by country manual, I think that it will be issued by the end of this month or the beginning of April. The last point that I would like to talk about will be the capacity building. Maybe this is yes, this is a kind of cooperation with the OECD for the support of the taxation in Egypt. I will give the opportunity to May in 3 minutes to talk about this. This is very important, this kind of cooperation. It helps the technical assistance for the the Egyptian tax authority, and offer training programs with the OECD and with the other international organizations. This is briefly the international taxes. Actually, at this point, it needs it needs lots of conferences, not only one conference. The main objective is just to know where are we as Egypt, what are the kind of recommendations that can be submitted to the Egyptian government. Thirdly, the tax community and the tax society and the businessman society will be ready for the implementation, and to know that this will happen. And there are lots of updates that is taking place in the international tax society. And if Egypt will not become part of this international tax updates, this will impact negatively on the investors, because what's very important for the investors, that the environment that he is working in will be a good one. Thank you very much, and I hope that I wasn't lengthy. Thank you very much.